Welcome back, Inebri-art. This is Andy of the Inebri-art podcast. And where we haven't missed a week, it's been a while since I've recorded an episode, so I may be a little rusty. But today we brought in Omar Mora. Welcome to the show, man.
Hi. Thank you all. Thank you for having me in your
Yeah.
show.
So you're a comic book writer, and one of your books is getting made into a live action show. The Unearthians. Is that right?
The Unearthians. Right now we are in the development stages. A lot of pieces needs to move to
Yeah.
make it happen, but we're working towards that, and we're actually actively pitching to big streamers, and there's some people interested in. So let's see.
Yeah, it's such a cool time. We get to see things that I never thought would be made. I owned a comic book shop years and years and years ago, and I remember one of my customers. He was legitimately the biggest Ant-Man fan you've ever met. He's like, "Oh, they should make an Ant-Man movie." I'm like, "That's ridiculous. That would never happen." And now the third one's, it's such a weird time that. And even all the smaller stuff, Umbrella Academy is fantastic, and just the boys. I've been getting caught up on the boys. I mean,
It's a fantastic show. I just came from a producers kind of workshops here in LA, and one of the work conference that I got is where people get idea, and big producers and streamers get ideas, and they getting ideas even from podcasts, like even from anywhere they can get it, they get it, because there's so many streamers out there and they keep popping up. So no matter if it's like a TV show or comic books, a book or podcast or a series in a podcast, they will get the idea and they like it, they will make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like this golden age for creators, because I mean,
It is.
If you just have a GoPro and a good idea, you can really make something happen. I watch. Are you familiar with Critical Role?
No.
It's 8 voice actors playing Dungeons and Dragons, and they just had their first campaign turned into Amazon Prime cartoon.
Oh wow! I'm telling you, I think if you're in the right spot and people and you have like an audience too for your podcast or whatever it is, you can find to get it out there as a animated TV series, live action movie, whatever it is. But there's people actively are looking for content.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I think the reason why I got an email initially about you was you have a new book, Ancient Explorers.
Ancient Explorers. Yeah, this is my second graphic novel. I call it it's a hybrid / comic book.
So hybrid, how is it? Like part novel, part comic book?
It is part novel, part comic book. The whole design is designed as a comic book. So the trim and the size is a comic book size. But the text portion of it, the designer of the book, brilliant Phil Smith, those texts he put it into a big square with a lot of art around it. And then we have the actual comic book sequential pages in between, so to keep moving forward the story. The book came out beautifully, the way it came. I'm so proud of it.
So give us a quick synopsis. Like, what's the basic premise of the book?
Basically, two best friends grew up together with tell stories of Mark is one of the characters, grandpa, about hidden treasures and adventures about this place, this city of Peru. I don't know if you ever heard this legend of Paititi. It's the Lost City of Peru.
No.
So it's a true legend about this lost city, kind of El Dorado type of thing. So when they grew up together, they forgot about those stories. They opened an antique stores with grandpa's artifacts and things that he got during his years. The thing is, they lost everything. They go into bankruptcy. The night that they were packing, they go into this bar to drink their frustrations away. They met these two beautiful girls, archaeologists, Jennifer and Sandy, that got interested in a compass that Mark has. And that compass have a lot of ancient symbols and hidden symbols that they think is true. So they asked the guys, do you guys have more stuff from your grandpa? And they say, yeah, we have a treasure map that he gave us when we were kids. So they went to check the map, and it looks like the map is real, and it has like a treasure hunting symbols that they think can get you into the city of Peru, Paititi. So that's when everything started. Like something put their lives in danger, and this danger drives them into to do what they always wanted to do in life, is explorers of the ancients. And then they go into this journey of magical adventure journey to discover the lost city of Peru, Paititi. It's kind of Goonies,
I was literally thinking
Indiana
Goonies, Indiana
Jones,
Jones. Yeah.
those type of adventure movies between four best friends.
Oh, what's the other one I was thinking?
National Treasure.
Have you ever seen? I think it's Sahara with it's got Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey. Yeah. Something like that. So it's pretty cool because I play other than adventures within the story. There's a lot of sci-fi they go into. I mean, I don't want to say much, but they go into wormholes. There's fantastical stuff, and it's a pretty cool story. At the end of the day, it's basically having this journey, to find this city, but it's basically having this journey to discover themselves, to become a better person. Sometimes situations put you in a bad spot, that you need to be a better self. You need to be a higher self from who you are, and do things that you never thought you were able to do. And this is kind of the story about that becoming something bigger, to get where you want to be in life.
So now, when you're writing this, where it's sort of based on myth and legend and history, like how much research did it take? Did you try to stick really close to the original legend, or did you take a lot of liberties and creative?
So this story came about in 2009. I went to the Amazon in Peru. I'm a medical doctor too. So so I went to Peru to do community service as a doctor to the jungle, and that's when I heard about this legend of Paititi, the lost city of Peru, and that's when the idea started to came about. I wrote a book back in 2013 or 12, almost 10 years ago. I put it out there. It was mostly like a novel, but I always wanted to make it as a comic book, because that's the fun of it. I love the medium. So I had a lot of the stuff already written down. I did research back then from this legend city of Paititi, but there's not too many things. So I have the liberties to play around, and that's where the fantastic and fantasy scenes comes about into the graphic novel.
Yeah, I mean, I love stuff like this and just like legends and stuff. And with our access to information now, I think it if it takes off, it just sparks so much more interest in that sort of thing and the cultures around them. And I mean, I remember maybe 15, 20 years ago, no one really knew who Krampus was, and now everybody knows who Krampus is, and it's kind of like shorthand. And
it's pretty cool. Yeah. Do you see the movie with Sandra Bullock? It was on Netflix like a few months ago, that they were going to discover this city. I forgot what was the movie with Brad Pitt had a little scene, and with Channing Tatum.
Yeah. I saw a trailer for it. I didn't.
Yeah. So it's about looking for this lost city. Also, I forgot the name of the lost city, and it reminds me that all these legends, El Dorado, Atlantis, the Gold City, all those stories, I don't know why people love them. And no matter how many times different storyteller, tell them in a different ways, it's just fascinating. And I was watching that movie and I was like, oh man, that's so cool. So I don't know, it's something that attracts you to watch those fantasy adventure. Goonies, I mean, who didn't love Goonies when they grew up?
Back it was one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah.
And Princess Bride.
Prince. Do you remember? I don't know, but Labyrinth. I love that type of movies, like looking for something, searching, like the never-ending story when we were
Jennifer Connelly was like my first crush.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Of course, she was the crush of so many people. She's still. I don't know.
Oh
I don't know
yeah,
if
she's.
you saw Top Gun 2.
Have I seen what?
You see the movie Top Gun 2, the second one,
No.
Top Gun
Oh, Top
with
Gun. No, I haven't seen that
yeah,
yet.
yeah. She's there. She's
Oh,
in,
now, all right. Now I'm gonna have to go
and
see
she looks
that.
honestly, she looks like back then when she was doing Labyrinth. So beautiful.
Yeah, that's funny. So how did you get into writing? Were you always into it? Like you said, you're a medical doctor. Like, were they two interests that existed parallel, or did one develop later?
When I always wanted to be a storyteller, acting and writing mostly. But I grew up in Puerto Rico, so that wasn't kind of a choice. Mostly was academic to study.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to, I did study pre-med and start medical school. And September 11 happened, and I was in New York when that, happened. So I was down there when September 11 happened. So that experience changed me a lot. And that's when I decided to, go for what I wanted to do. So was acting and writing. So the first thing I started was acting, and then when I moved to LA, I decided to start writing because the audition I was going in for the parts, it wasn't like substance audition for what for the parts Latino have or what we wanted, stuff like that. So that kind of pushed me to write. Before I was thinking to write even later when I was like knowing more about the industry.
Yeah.
But I just jump into it, and to be honest, is I love writing. It can when you write, it's when you see a movie for 2 hours that you forget about everything. Writing for me is like you keep writing and you just forget about everything around you. So it's very, very I don't know what's the word. It's like you go into this trip without mushroom or without weed or without nothing, and you just feel good. So I do like writing a lot, and that's when I decided writing. And I took a lot of workshops, studies, and just self-taught, and so far so good.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like I interviewed Kate Linder, and she's an actress on a soap opera, and she's been playing the same role for like 40 years.
Wow.
And during the interview, she said something about how she was in acting class, and I'm like recently, and she's like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, I mean, I figured like after 40 years. She's like, no, you can always learn something more, and it's that idea of like still like following workshops and I mean, hell, YouTube's great to learn all manner of things.
You need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, even writing, when you write one thing and then you write the second thing, and then you when you finish the first draft, second draft, third draft, then you start sending it out for editors and feedback, coverage. They kill the scripts, and you come back and keep changing, come back. At the end of the day, you end up with 20, 30 drafts. It takes time and a lot of energy.
Do you ever get discouraged when you send them off to the editors and you're like, no, this is good. This is what's going to happen. And it comes back all red with notes. I mean, does it get discouraging?
It's frustrating. I don't know if the word is discouraging, but it's frustrating because you spend so much time and energy, and in your mind, because I'm a visual guy, I see the whole movie. I say, oh, this is going to be fantastic. And then I send it out. It come back, like you said, like all notes, red notes, like a lot. I said, like, what's going on?
And sometimes, like, can you do another color other than red? Why does it have to be red?
To be honest, I need to take a little pause. Like when I get it back, I mean, I'm used to it now. It's easier now, but I don't jump into it right away. I digest what they're telling me. I use what I want to use. If I don't believe or agree with their other notes, so I just leave it alone. Before, I was trying to follow all the notes when I was studying, but people said no. I mean, whoever is reading this and give you notes, of course, have more experience than you, but it's still not still an opinion about it. So you need to believe in your story enough to change what you think will work and what will not work. So, and again, I send this to sometimes to just not one person, it's 3, 4, 5 people, and everybody have their different opinions. A scene that worked for somebody, the other one said, well, doesn't work here. So you can, I mean, if not, you become crazy if you start changing everything that everybody said. But it's an interesting process because you're giving your baby to everybody to kind of have an opinion.
Yeah. How much is it that, I mean, it's kind of like, it makes me think of like text messages. The number of times I've sent a text message and someone comes back all pissed off, and I'll be like, why are you mad? And be like, well, you're mad. And I'm like, I'm not. And then you reread it and go, oh, there's no tone. Like, there's no tone here. Do you get some of those notes where it's like you're clearly not reading it in the tone it's meant? Do you kind of like try to rework how it's presented, or are you just kind of like, no, you got the tone wrong, and like the art will help with that? Or
is all of the above. Sometimes I just got a script, a superhero script. One of my first script. I had the coverage like 2 days ago, and one writer didn't get the tone at all. Like they said, they give me like a number. They give me a number 2 or 5, and I was like, what the heck? So I was waiting for another coverage to come, and that other writer find like the tone 4 out of 5. And I said, what am I missing something? Because it should be clear though for both of them.
right.
You know what I mean? So I will go back into to see what if there's something I need to change, because it should be clear, the tone for everybody. I mean, it's not like this tone is suspense or thriller or comedy or fast tempos and somebody feel it the other way. But who knows? Everybody's so different. But yeah, I get those notes, different characters development, sometimes the structure, sometimes the tone, the pacing, the dialogue. Is very interesting when you start sending the script out there. But you need to be open to it. If not, for sure.
Do you have like a trick that you can kind of, so I'll explain my trick. When I'm drawing something, it's not always easy for me to see what's wrong with it. But for some reason, if I take a picture with my phone and then I look at the picture, it instantly pops out where I'm like, oh, that's, the proportion on that is wrong, or like, that's not how that's supposed to look. Do you have kind of like a trick where you'll put it away for a couple of days and come back, or like, read
that's
with your left eye? I don't
know. No, actually, that's my main trick. Is just leave it there for a few days, sometimes a few weeks, if I'm not mentally ready to jump into it, and then read it again, and then I say, oh yeah, they're right, or I need to change that. Sometimes they don't even pick up something that I pick up myself when I reread it again, because it's hard. I mean, you read my scripts, I've been reading it like Ancient Explorers. I can tell you maybe the page where this sentence is, because you read it so many times as you write it, as it comes back, as what you change. You read it so many times that sometimes it's hard to be objective with it. So you need to put it down and then come back and then read it again. And that's why when you send it out, you need to trust the people you're sending it out for coverage. So they can give you a feedback that you can trust.
Yeah, and I've talked with a bunch of people, and I'm like, and not just that you can trust, but you can't send it to mom.
Yeah.
It has to be someone who's critical. It's not just gonna be like, I love it, and you're like, no, that doesn't help.
Yeah, for sure. There's this company. It's called Slated, for whoever read hearing and wants to know about. It's called Slated.com. They do a lot of script coverage. Really good company. They have different writers that can read your screenplay and don't just give you like a big full analysis. That's the company I like the most, to be honest. So shout out to them.
I didn't even realize that was a business. I just figured.
Yeah. A lot of writers makes money doing coverage like that. It's easy for them, make notes, get paid, and we all get benefits from it. Like even like writers that been in TV or films for a while.
Do they fix your basic mistakes too? I mean, like you're using the wrong your, that's not the right there, that kind of stuff too?
They do make notes, but usually for that, you need to send it to a proofreader.
Yeah.
So you have the editors, you have the proofreaders. Sometimes you just somebody wants to do just coverage. it's this script goes through a lot of hands before it goes out, and even when it goes out, somebody read it and say, "Oh, what is this?" And it's like imagine all these movies that we watch on the theater. They have so many directors and writers work on it. They ended producing the film. They have screen tests, and then even goes out, and people don't like it. And it's an art. So
Yeah.
what can you do? You do your best.
It's so crazy. It's like sometimes you're just sitting there being like, how well, there's legit a podcast called "How Did This Get Made?" I mean, you're just watching and being like, it's terrible. The effects aren't good, and it's just you wonder where the breakdown is. Like, was it a money thing? Did they run out of time? Like, what happened?
It's very interesting because this happened with a lot of big budget movies too, and studio that have so many people working on a film, for example. And sometimes, like you said, what happened here?
It's terrible.
So I guess it's part of the process and part of the industry. On my case, I just need to be open mind and change, because I'm not at the position like I said, I don't care what you said. James Cameron can write whatever he wants. I don't think he's gonna send that to any coverage. Whatever he wants, he wants.
Yeah.
So when you get into that position, then you do whatever, I guess.
What is your least favorite part of the entire process? Is there like something about it that like you're just like that is the chore of it? Like everybody's got part of what they love to do that's not fun.
It is the notes, the coverage. When it's the first time or the second time is cool, but it's a moment that you need to stop and you need to believe in what you have and put it out there, because that's the tedious part, because sometimes you're so invested into the story, and some notes is like almost changing some of the structure of the script. And that's the part that you need to decide, do I do this? Because it takes a lot of energy, and that's the part that I always get tired the most. Because once, before you sending the script to other people, you spend so many hours and so many days, sometimes a year, writing, or 6 months, like nonstop writing, because you have your own notes. And after you finish your first draft, second draft, third draft, that's the easy part, because it's on me making it better or fun on my own mind. Then you send it out and it's not like what you thought it was, and it's like, what the heck? So I think that's the toughest part for me, to be honest.
Have you ever gotten like notes to be like, you should change this, and then you send that again and get the notes to be like, you should change this, and it's the exact way that you had it?
It happens. It happens after a few drafts. You back and forth. That's the way he had it. What are you talking?
I feel like that's entirely something that would happen. Just that kind of like, did you read it in the first time?
I usually like pace. I like to pay attention too much on the structure. I pay attention on the tone, like the core of the writing technique and writing structure. When it's something about more as an opinion about the story, or this will work better than this, if I agree, so because sometimes those advices make the story better, but if I don't agree, then like, oh, you need to have a romance between this character and this character, I think that will make the story more in depth. But sometimes, no, I don't want to tell that story. I want to tell the story of these characters. So those are easy for me to say yes or no. But when it comes to structure and tone and a lot of that gritty part, I do pay attention to those feedback.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes they're so obsessed with like everybody in the movie has to have a love interest, and you're just like, it doesn't have to be that way. Like
it's like I was having this conversation with one of one of my friends that covers some stuff, and he said so, and I was asking, so are we gonna have the same structure from now to 100 years? Because if it's not like this, somebody's gonna say, no, we cannot do this. It doesn't follow the regular structure. So I think that's what I loved at Game of Thrones when it came, like especially the first season, that you're following this character the whole first. It was the first episode. It was the first season, no? First.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they cut off his head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah.
saw Game of
Oh
Thrones.
yeah, I have. Yeah, for sure. No, you didn't
And
ruin it for me.
yeah. Oh, okay. So I mean, it's been like I don't know how many
Yeah, no.
years already, and I was like, that thing changed changed everything about structure. With after some of the other shows after that show, they were killing their own main guy,
Yeah,
and
and they
that's what
kept
I
doing
love.
it too. Like
Yeah, yeah,
then they would
yeah,
change to this person. They kill that guy off, and
yeah.
yeah,
So I think that was interesting. So I mean, eventually we need to start changing and structure and. But yeah, I hate when they told me, oh, these two characters, the main characters are similar. You need to have one with this personality, another one with this personality, so they have a conflict. No, we see
yeah.
this all the time, you know. But I don't know. Sometimes you have your own idea and nobody picks it up. So
And and sometimes I feel like they don't realize the benefit of something like that. Have you seen Serenity, the Firefly movie?
I think I saw that movie. It's an all movie, no?
It's an older movie, yeah.
Yeah.
But they had the character Wash, and he's like this beloved, like everybody loved him on the TV show. He was kind of like the comic relief, just this lovable character. And they're coming to the high point of the movie, and they just unceremoniously, super quick, bang, he's dead. And I remember watching the theaters being like, what just happened? And then they kind of rush into the high point of that dramatic fight scene, and this person gets shot and this person gets cut and this person's injured, and you're like, oh my god, they're all gonna die. Like, it killing that one character up the stakes to the point where you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen, I don't know if they're gonna make it, I don't know if there's gonna be a happy ending. And it made it so much more compelling.
It does. It does. I think different structure, different tone, and it just make it more interesting storytelling. So movies like that and Game of Thrones, I think, are movies and stories that change the industry. Hopefully, for something that you never have seen before. So,
And it's funny, and I'm gonna kind of crap on a character who's just over your shoulder there. That's why I don't like Superman. I've never read a story. I've never seen a movie where I felt like he was in actual danger because he's Superman.
He's Superman. The problem with Superman is because he's my favorite character. This is Superman, then Batman, then I love Aquaman that everybody hated before
Yeah,
came out, The Flash. But the thing is, Superman, and I have this fight on the comics, they keep giving them when Lex Luthor is the main villain. You can't have a villain like Lex Luthor for Superman that much time. I mean, he's so powerful. You need to find it. You need to find I love when they bring what's his name? Oh my god, the Thanos of DC.
Dark Side.
Dark Side when they
Yeah,
have my mind is the green guy.
the Hulk.
No. So that's the thing, but Superman is a character that I love, and I can relate even with all his powers. But it's about to have him in a different situation and give them like a strong villain, that he can fight with. But I a lot of people said about that about Superman. I don't know. For some reason, I can relate to him. Even I don't have that. I relate more than him than Batman. Most of my friends love Batman more than Superman. For
Yeah,
some reason, I'm drawn more to Superman than Batman. I mean, I
yeah.
love both, of course.
It's funny. Like, I see it in comic books all the time now. Even like with Wolverine. Wolverine seems indestructible. Like,
Yeah,
and I think it's that just natural progression of time where, as a writer, you want to push them to their limits where they don't seem like they're going to make it and they're going to come out of it somehow. So the next time you have to up the game and up the game and up the game. And Superman's been around since the 1930s. So it's like, there's no more limits to push him against,
they need to, but I mean, hopefully they come up with something new because I love the character. I mean, it's the first character that started out everything. So I'm rooting for hopefully Warner Brothers get their act together with DC and do something with everybody. Oh my god, I love so much the green. I don't know if you read the Green Lantern, like the Brightest Day and the Blackest Night,
Yeah.
all that series. There's so much folklore with the Green Lanterns and Batman, the Batman family, and even Superman. There's so much that they can do that hopefully they can get their act together. So
I think the one they did a phenomenal job was Shazam.
I like Shazam. It
I
was
thought
fun.
that was a phenomenal movie, and I love the
Yeah.
way they kind of made it the superhero version of Big. I thought that was just really
Yeah,
clever,
yeah,
and
yeah.
just it was fun. Didn't take itself super serious. You know,
Yeah.
it was great all around.
Did you watch Thor?
The new one,
Yeah.
I did. I just saw that this past Sunday. Um, it was no Ragnarok,
Yeah.
but I like. This is an interesting thing. We're talking about trying to like figure out what's going on in the movie.
Yeah.
I was watching the beginning, and it's that kind of scene where he first sees Jane Foster as Thor, and I'm like, God, I feel like he's overacting like a ton, and I'm like, I don't know if I like that. And then I kind of like thought about it, and I'm like, that part of the story is supposed to be Korg retelling the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the beginning, he's like, "Oh, let me tell you about the space bike," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, he would kind of make it exaggerated." And
Yeah.
so I really love the love triangle between Stormbreaker, Thor, and Mjolnir. I thought that was so great.
Well, this is what we're talking about. Like you have that script, and you have Thor. I don't know if you grew up reading Marvel, but Thor is a character more serious and more, more.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you bring the script and you put the character in a certain way, certain situation in certain ways, getting completely out of the what Thor is, and in some way it worked. I don't know if I would go as a writer into that route, but it worked. So this is the thing we were talking about, how you write these stories, people telling you no, you need to go that route, but you never know until you get it out there. And Kevin Feige is, I think that guy, I don't know, is a genius, is an alien, because to put all these movies together for so many years,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of them better than other, but it's cohesive, is crazy, and the risk he takes in with Thor and other characters, it paid off.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's some of the setup is just like, oh my God, I can't believe they had that set up for like 5 years, like paying it off finally. And
Yeah.
it's weird because I feel like they've kind of relieved some of the pressure now because they've done all the big ones. So now they're working on, character. I mean, I remember when Guardians of the Galaxies came out, I owned a comic book shop and I had to call my buddy and go, who the hell are in the Guardians of the Galaxy? Because I had no idea.
Yeah.
So it alleviates a lot of those kind of, preconceived notions of like, well, this is how the character should be, because people are like, I don't know who these people are. And Miss Marvel, I think, was great.
I loved it. I don't know. Did you see the last episode?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can talk about it, but that last little
All right,
sentence.
if you haven't seen it, you can shut this podcast off now, go watch and come back. So anyways.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they take risk. That sentence about the mutant gene, officially she's the first mutant.
Yeah.
Kind of, no?
Yeah. The first one they've announced.
On the MCU.
Yeah. And technically that would be, I'm gonna nerd out here, Professor Xavier in Multiverse of Madness.
But that was another universe.
Yeah, but he's still the first mutant. It's still
But that's true. But in this MCU timeline, it was interesting that they gave her that mutant gene. They mentioned it, and would be interesting to see what they're gonna do with it. But it's just those little things that they put out there, totally different from the comics, that I think works for them.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great series, and that's a character I know nothing about.
Yep.
But it was great. It was fun. It reminded me a lot of Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
And some people are like, "Oh, I didn't really care for it." I'm like, "Yeah, well, you're not really the demographic of the show. It's like a teen show."
Yeah.
So you have to kind of go into that mindset.
Yeah.
Do you think about like what demographic you're writing for, or do you just write and kind of let the demographic fall wherever it falls?
You know what? Yeah, I just write the story I want to write. For example, the Inertians has a lot of, I don't want to say gore, but there's a lot of blood and beheading heads in one of the scenes. And I just write what I think it's fit for the story. I usually tended to go to general audiences because
Yeah.
even the Unearthians that has some scenes and some graphic pictures or illustrations, it still I believe is 9 plus. So Ancient Explorers is for kids, teens, for everybody. But yeah, I don't think about the demographic. I just want to tell the story I want to tell, and then we figure out after this is too strong. If a producer said, you know what, I'm gonna do this as a TV series or as a film, let's tone it down, or we can pump it up on the tone. So we do it.
No, I think the boys have shown that it really
It
doesn't
doesn't matter.
matter. That
Come
show
on.
is insane.
The boys. Did you see Invincible?
Yeah, Invincible is really good too. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was very gory as well. So
It was. There's just still something about it being animated that makes it a little more disconnected. And
yeah.
the boys is just so over the
Uh,
top. I'm only like halfway, no, 3 episodes in the current season, and it's just like every time something happens, I'm like, oh my, holy shit!
Oh, you're gonna have. I watched the whole thing already. You're gonna have
Yeah,
a treat. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
But it
it's
worked, and
amazing.
I think did they put is an R series or
Oh,
I
it's
don't
gotta
know.
be at
Probably it needs to
least.
be R
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
But I know a lot of kids watch that show, so I
So
think
I started watching it with a buddy of mine, so I always go over to his house to watch it. And so like we were hanging out watching it the other night, and he puts in the parental code, and I'm like, oh, I know what your code is. And he goes, yeah, as long as my kids pretend like they don't know what it is, I'm happy.
that's too funny. But yeah, the boss is an example of whatever works.
Yeah, for sure. So you're gonna be launching Ancient Explorers at San Diego Comic Con, right?
Yeah. We're gonna launch it in San Diego Comic Con. My company Mora's production will be on small press M as a mother '05. We're gonna have a preview special printed, like the first 28 pages, to give for free. And there's not too many quantities because the paper after COVID, the paper is so expensive that to print comics nowadays is really expensive.
Oh, I don't even want to.
So
What the hell does an issue cost nowadays? I haven't bought a comic
it's
in it.
it's crazy. So we're gonna launch it first on
Yeah.
Amazon Kindle for now.
Oh, nice.
If the cost of paper comes down eventually, because I want to print it, but the thing is, when I was calculating to print the whole novel and to sell it, I would need to sell the novel for like, I don't know, $40 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to somebody is gonna buy a $40 graphic novel that they don't know, and the profit is not even that much. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Back in my day, I used to buy comics for 75 cents.
I think nowadays it's like $4.99 most of them, no?
Jesus. Probably.
Because
Yeah.
but I'm excited. First time as an exhibitor in San Diego Comic Con and launching Ancient Explorers, and we're launching to the Unearthians, the full trade, chapter 1 to 12, also in Amazon Kindle. So
Oh, that's awesome.
next week on Wednesday.
Oh, that's awesome. When is Comic Con this year? I don't even
The
know.
20 is a previous day, and then July 21st to the 24th next week.
First next week. Oh, so this episode is going to be going up. I think. Wait, after this. So you'll have just gotten a. How was San Diego Comic Con?
San Diego Comic Con was amazing. You've been in San Diego Comic Con?
I have not. I have been to many a Comic Con, but I never, because I'm East Coast guy, I never got over to San Diego. The furthest I've traveled west is Vegas.
Okay.
Which I've only been to. I've been to 3 times, and it's 3 times in the last 5 years, and it's all just been like work related. But yeah, I'd someday I'll get over there.
It gets crazy. I think it's like more than 130,000 people. Before COVID, the 2019, because I always go as a professional, but I never had a table.
Yeah.
But in 2019, I did. They invite me for a panel for the Unearthians to kind of launch it there, and it was so packed. It was so like even Saturday, Sundays, like you cannot even walk. But it's so much fun. I love that con, to be honest.
How was your experience on the panel? Like
it was first time. I mean, a newcomer, like new comic book writer, and people asking questions, and like I'm just learning like you're learning too. So, but it was such a great experience to be there and just sharing my experience with everybody that went. I thought nobody was gonna come into the panel. To be honest, like, there's hundred. No, I don't know hundreds of panels at the same time, but there's a lot of panels at the same time everywhere.
Right.
But the everybody, those rooms get packed.
Yeah.
I think you can put whatever subject and people just go, and listen to. So it was pretty cool. It was an experience that I will never forget. That first panel there.
Yeah, my first panel I ever did was a podcasting panel at a horror convention, and it was like the convention started at like 10. The panel was at like 10:30. It was like two dudes in the room, and so we're just talking to ourselves. But then last year, actually the beginning of this year, we were in Vegas and we did a thing at an expo for our other podcast, and there were 100 people there, and it was just was so cool. Yeah, so much fun.
Guarantee if you get a panel into San Diego Comic Con, you're gonna pack that room.
Well, we'll work on that maybe next year. But where can people go to find out information and pick up the book if it's out? Yeah. So is Amazon, it coming out next week?
Coming out next week, Wednesday, Amazon Kindle. You just put Ancient Explorers or The Lost City of Peru or Omar Mora. It should pop in. The website is ancientexplorersthenovel.com. Instagram at Mora himself. That's my name on Instagram. Or just morasproduction.com. You can find the Unearthians, and you can find Ancient Explorers and everything in between that I'm doing in the entertainment pop world.
Nice. It's awesome, man. And when Unearthians are ready to go live, whenever that like happens, man, come back in. We'll talk more.
I'm so looking forward to put that thing as a live action, because it's vampires and aliens, so it should be so much fun to shoot that thing. So
I mean, people kind of like vampires and stuff.
Yeah, of course. They never get bored about it.
No, but this is an absolute pleasure, man. I want to say thank you for taking the time to talk with us, and we encourage our listeners to go out and check out your work, and we'll catch you guys again next week.
Appreciate it.
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at inebriart.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at inebriart.com. Thanks again for listening.